Hello and welcome to NDTV World's rolling coverage of the UK elections. I'm Gauri Dwivedi, and as things stand right now, Rishi Sunak may have won his seat, but he has, of course, conceded defeat to Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, set to be the next Prime Minister of UK. On your screens are the latest numbers that are coming in comfortably above the 350 mark that you can see on your screens. Labour Party at 368 right now. Conservatives have still not touched the three-digit mark. They are still at 90 as we speak. Others could be the really other story as far as UK is concerned. And you can see 79 is what the Greens and some of the other parties adding up to ends up becoming. So that's the picture on your screens. Not a pretty picture for Rishi Sunak. It was a somber night for him, and he has every reason to then introspect. But, well, the star of the night is Keir Starmer, and that's where the all action is going to be. And in fact, let me get in John, who's joining us from UK to give us a sense of how things stand right now. Well, the victorious speech has already been heard. Rishi Sunak has also conceded defeat. You've heard that as well. But what happens next? 14 years, 5 prime ministers later, Tories are staring at their worst defeat in the last 200 years. And Labour Party, what I heard again and again from Starmer was, this is a different party. This is a different Labour Party that you're seeing now. How different will the next 5 years be for UK is really the story now. John.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And I think it will be a very different next 5 years for the UK. I mean, the UK for the last 14 years has had some form of Conservative government. So the fact that it is moving away from that back to the more left-leaning Labour Party, well, then, of course, that's going to have a big impact as well. The Labour Party, in their manifesto, as they were campaigning, they were careful not to over-promise in terms of what they could deliver. They know they have a very big challenge when it comes to the economy. It is still struggling, so they were careful not to over-promise too much when it came to public spending or boosting public services. So there is no magic bullet has been very much the word from the Labour Party. So we expect that to continue. The fact that they are still facing up to just how difficult things are going to be, but they have promised that things will get better. So the Labour Party now have this difficult balancing act between not over-promising, but actually managing to deliver on what they have said they can do in their manifesto. So I think it's a very different UK that people are waking up to this morning, and certainly it's one where there has been a Labour landslide, so we can expect their policies to be enacted upon and start to see those from the next few days when they form a government.
Absolutely. And we're going to come to how this impacts India in just a bit. Why is it that the next set of India-UK relations could be completely different going forward under Starmer's leadership? But before that, John, I want to ask you this, that there's a massive landslide that has really drowned any Tory chances, really. So what does this mean in terms of getting some of the bills passed? Would that mean that Labour would have it easy? Some of the low-hanging fruits would probably get passed earlier, even as some of the difficult legislation, of course, would require some back and forth. But does this mean that policy making would probably be faster under Starmer?
Yeah, it certainly does. When you have a large majority, it means that you are able to pass the ideas that you believe in that maybe other people don't. But you're able to do that and claim the democratic right to do that because you have that large mandate. Because so many people have voted for you, the theory is that you should be allowed to get on and do what you've promised that you will do. Of course, there are some people, among the many Conservative politicians in the build-up to the vote, who were saying it would be very bad news if Labour got this huge majority, because it means you don't have that effective opposition holding the government to account. But that is the situation we are in now. So yes, certainly, I think the Labour Party will be able to pass the policies that they like and really pass them quite easily when they get into this building behind me, into Parliament, and realise that they are in control and there is not anything that other people can do to stop them. So they will be delivering on the things that they've promised in their election manifesto, and we expect that to to kick in the coming days. They will not waste any time. Labour are under no illusions about the scale of the challenges facing the UK at the moment.
Absolutely. And before we, talk about the big things about how to go about running UK under Starmer's leadership, talk to us about the next steps that, will happen through the early morning hours in UK. What happens next in terms of the process?
Well, we have this slightly archaic system where Rishi Sunak has to go to the King to say that it's the end of his time in Downing Street as Prime Minister, and he has to say that Keir Starmer has got the mandate to form the next government. Keir Starmer then goes to the King and says that he's won the election, and the King signs the piece of paper. It's all very ceremonial. The King, of course, has no powers to change his mind about any of this. The King is just doing the will of the people and signing a piece of paper, basically, is how it was explained to me. So I think we do have these sort of archaic is one word for it, or these very well-defined traditions would be another way of looking at it, and that's what's going to be happen.
Right. It's 10 o'clock right now in India. How do you think about 4 hours from now or 5 hours from now you'll have Keir Starmer being in 10 Downing Street? Could it take longer? We're just asking from the next steps point of view. As I said, the difficult part of running UK will take time, but the next steps in terms of what all is likely to happen today, given that it's been a dramatic day for Labour and Tories, what could be the next set in terms of procedure? I'm going to come to you, Lord Desai, in just a bit. I just want to get this from John first. Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of the timescale of all of that, yes, Keir Starmer will be in Downing Street later today. We heard from Rishi Sunak when he gave his speech, when he won his seat up in North Yorkshire. He is then heading back down to London. I would imagine he's flying down in order to get down here quickly. So he'll be in London probably in the next half an hour to an hour. So yes, by mid-morning, I would imagine that we're going to see a changing of the guard in terms of 10 Downing Street. And then you would imagine there'll be a speech from Keir Starmer, and then they'll be very keen to give the impression that they're getting straight down to work, and we'll hear some of his cabinet appointments. And then, of course, Keir Starmer, one of his first orders of business, he's got to go straight off to Washington, D.C. next week to go to the big NATO meeting that's happening there. So he's got big challenges at home and abroad.
Absolutely. And we're going to keep coming back to you, John, because there's a lot that Keir Starmer will have to take care of the moment he takes on as the next Prime Minister of UK. We're going to keep coming back to you. It's a big day in UK. And as things proceed, we're going to get all those details right here for our viewers on NDTV World, as I said. Now, let me get in some of our guests who are with me here in the studio. Lord Meghnath Desai and Manju Seth, former diplomat, with me here in the studio. And we also have Naresh Kaushik, senior journalist, joining me on this broadcast. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on this what is turning out to be a very historic day in UK politics for all the wrong reasons when it comes to Rishi Sunak, for all the right reasons when it comes to Keir Starmer. Lord Desai, let me start with you. It's been 200 years that Rishi Sunak is breaking a record that he would have never wanted to. And we're going to come to the fact that what should be the next step as far as Tories are concerned. But, well, it is all about the victorious leader right now. And we're going to talk first about Keir Starmer, what it means for India UK relations under him. First up, your first thoughts on the kind of victory that was, a lot of it was expected, but what next in terms of how India should be reading Starmer's entry into 10 Downing Street? Lord Desai. You want to start, sir? Lord Desai? Yes.
Yeah. You know, British Prime Ministers have a very peculiar problem. First of all, Rishi Sunak could have to move all his furniture out, because Downing Street doesn't provide furniture for the Prime Minister. You have to bring your own furniture.
Okay, so that'll delay the entry and exit by a couple of hours. But beyond that, the logistics of moving in and out of 10 Downing Street.
It's very peculiar that unlike in India, where the Prime Minister has about 3 houses, this is the flat at the top of 10 Downing Street. He has to clear, and poor Keir Starmer will have to bring his own furniture. So anyway, and then the Keir Starmer's first job is to sign all the nuclear codes.
Right, yes.
You know,
in the event, yes.
But I think Keir Starmer's biggest problem is going to be that there are so many Labour MPs that, about 100 of them are going to be the opposition, much more than the Conservative opposition. I think the Conservatives, having got more than 100, they have almost saved their face. At one stage, it looked like they would have. But what's happened is the Reform Party has taken votes away from the Conservatives, but not won seats. So Reform has been very damaging to the Conservative Party, whereas the Labour Party has got a lot of seats from Scotland.
Right.
And the Scottish National Party has lost a lot of seats in Scotland. So in a sense, the Labour Party has defeated two other parties, Conservative Party and the Scottish National Party. And that is a great advantage because now the Scottish independence referendum will not happen.
Yes,
because
that's a very important point, and I want to quickly tell this to our viewers that those of our viewers joining in right now, understanding we are trying to decode UK politics and its larger impact on India. What Lord Desai said right now is a very important point, that there was a far-right party that came in and it took away a lot of the Tories' vote share. It may not have translated into large number of seats, but it took away a lot of the vote share, and that has also played on in terms of the final tally that is coming out right now. Last we checked, Tories haven't been able to touch the 3-digit mark. As Lord Desai said, it's not just because it was a direct contest between Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. Some of the other factors, like the far-right party, also had an impact. And that's why it's important for our viewers to also have that kind of a nuanced understanding of the election results that are coming in. Ma'am, let me ask you on this, that as things stand right now, irrespective of the final tally, Rishi Sunak has conceded defeat. Keir Starmer is set to have a record majority under his belt as he goes to the British Parliament. What do you think should be the first kind of decisions that India should be looking forward to from an UK-India point of view under Starmer's prime ministership?
Under Starmer's prime ministership, I don't think there will be a major shift from what is the ongoing state of the relationship. At the most, there might be some more tougher negotiations with regard to movement of people, which is an important aspect of our bilateral FTA negotiations that are ongoing. And for investments and our defense cooperation, there might be some more tougher negotiations, but I don't think the Labour Party or under Keir Starmer is going to, or Keir Starmer as the head of the Labour Party will dramatically alter the India relationship.
I'll tell you why I asked you this, ma'am. The fact is, even the victory speech that Keir Starmer gave right now, he said this is a different Labour Party. This is a different Labour Party. Of course, this is a Labour Party post-Jeremy Corbyn, right? Who, by the way, has also won as an independent. Yes. But this is a Labour Party that has cleansed some of the Corbyn elements that existed within it. And with that, it has got this kind of a historic mandate. So that's the reason I said, what next now from a UK-India point of view? Are they now more centrist in their approach? Will that reflect in how they approach their ties with India going forward?
Absolutely, a centrist and a pragmatic approach. They will, because as you would have read about Keir Starmer saying that India is an important country for us, despite our historical baggage or historical ties or whatever the past is. We will look at India as a partner, and we will enhance our partnership and our relationship with them. And as you said, it is a changed Labour Party, and they will look at negotiating a free trade win-win, mutually win-win FTA agreement. Yeah. And they will go ahead and further enhance defense ties, trade ties. And I feel that also because, manpower will be, and they do require manpower, and especially in the health sector. Already a lot of Indian and Indian origin people are working in the health sector in the NHS. So I think many more will be going or will be required to go from India, because he has said that he will increase the number of people in the hospitals and hire more from outside if required. So I think he will look at India as an important partner and will strengthen this relationship further.
Okay, Naresh Kaushik, let me bring you in now. In terms of the UK-India ties, as Manju Seth said here, that because of a more centrist approach that Starmer will now have in terms of looking at India ties, some of the movements, some of the issues that have been stuck for some time could see positive change and positive movement. That, of course, means immigration being one of the key areas. And we're going to come to education in just a bit, but let's handle them one by one.
First of all, it's the new dawn in Britain. People are waking up to a new government led by Keir Starmer of Labour Party. So as far as India is concerned, historically, if you see, it was Labour government when India got independent. So the Tory party didn't give India independence. But in modern history, if you say the last 20, 30 years, conservative parties have been more friendly to India than the Labour Party. And the reason is the Labour Party has a very, very strong, as they use the term, vote banks in India. So Pakistani origin people are very powerful in Lord Desai's Labour Party. And it has been the case that under Tory party in recent years, the India-UK relations have improved much. But having said that, there are still more Indian people of Indian origin who still vote for Labour Party, although in the last 10 years or so, more Indians have been voting for the Conservatives. So the first thing which we'll see is, from Britain's perspective, the India trade deal. And that is very important for Britain, because after Brexit, India has been one of the target countries for Britain to have an independent trade deals. Brexiteers have been saying that, look, it is because of our Europe handicapped, we are not able to have deals. We have to go through EU, and now we can have our deals. And as you know, India has also been keen to have this deal, but India has its own interest. So in the last few months, to have this deal done, but it didn't happen. But now Sunak has come with a landslide. So this is now going to be the main priority as far as the foreign policy is concerned, because India is a big market. India is also an emerging power. So despite the lobbies of Pakistanis in this Labour government, relations with India are going to be good. They're going to be smoother. There will be lobbying, but I don't think that is going to make much difference. And Keir Starmer is a pragmatist. He always wants, he understands that India is an important power. So as far as India is concerned, this is going to be the priority for him as well.
Absolutely.
You see, this is quite, just let me finish.
Sure.
In Europe, these elections have defied a trend. Europe is going towards the far right in the European elections. And now we have 6 European government with a far right government. And Labour Party, which is basically a left of center party, it has defied that trend. And now in Britain, we have a left-wing government.
Absolutely. That's an important point, and I was going to come to just that. Lord Desai, I'm coming to you on that there is no monolith as far as the South Asian diaspora vote is concerned. And nobody has to do that balancing act more than the Labour Party, because of the fact that there are very loud, sometimes rabid elements within this diaspora. We saw the Khalistani elements, we saw, of course, the Pakistani elements, and all of that had an impact when there were attacks on the Indian embassy in the past, in the last couple of years. So you're right about saying the fact that these elements will become a significant part of the domestic handling that Labour Party has to do. Stay with us. I'm going to get Lord Desai on this. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I think I think Labour Party is not going to be as friendly to India as the Conservative Party was. Partly because this time the Muslim vote was going to go against Labour Party, but it has stayed with the Labour Party. And secondly, you have to realize Labour Party read Guardian, they don't read Telegraph. And they'll be critical of anything which happens in India regarding minorities and human rights and so on. They are not in sympathy with Hindu nationalism. So I think India will have to not take UK for granted.
Yes.
India will have to be subtle in. I think negotiations will go on, but I think India should not take UK for granted.
Lord Desai, I would like to say the same thing, that UK should not take India for granted, given how its own domestic struggles are right now. And Starmer walking in is going in with his hands tied to the back, given the state of the economy. But I take your point about the fact that domestic concerns are there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Those are live screens and live shots coming in on your screens. That is Larry the cat waiting for the next incumbent to come in on 10 Downing Street. There you can see Larry the cat patiently waiting that who is going to now come in and be the new master for the cat for the next 5 years. I would actually stick my neck out and say 10 years. And the reason for that is this kind of a landslide victory doesn't go away in just a couple of years. It will also require Tories to do a fair bit of introspection and come back. And it's unlikely, can't be ruled out, but unlikely that you bounce back from such a strong defeat in just 4 years. So you're looking at probably a decade of Labour rule
a decade
in
of
UK.
Labour rule.
Yes, Lord Desai.
I think Labour is safe for at least 2 terms.
Yeah.
Like New Labour was, Starmer is safe for 2 terms. And he has a lot to do. So there's going to be hard work because the UK is in a very bad state. India is a prosperous country, UK is not. So Labour will have to try very hard to restore the UK economy to where it used to be.
Absolutely. And a quick 30 seconds comment, Naresh, let me get from you and on this. Quick 30 seconds, please.
Yes. You see, the Labour Party, although it has got a landslide, but it is not as big a victory as people were predicting. The exit polls have been predicting. So basically, it's the more of the Tory party's defeat than the Labour Party's victory. So it's closer to 1997 Tony Blair. Victory of Labour Party. Actually, Tony Blair's margin was more than what Keir Starmer is going to have. So this is something which we have to bear in mind. And also, I'm not sure that the Tory party may not come back next time. I think it may, because like BJP in India, Conservative Party here is quite a formidable election machine. And they have won more elections than any other party in the last 125 years. So it's only be the 7th Labour government, Labour Prime Minister Keir Starmer. So whereas many times more for the Tories. Okay. So you can't really rule out Tories coming back to power soon.
Absolutely. Thanks much, Naresh Kaushik, for speaking to us and sharing your thoughts. I agree with you on the fact that this is an anti-Tory vote more than a pro-Labour vote. And that complicates how legislation will be for Starmer because, as I said, he walks into 10 Downing Street with finances that are going to make any of those promises very difficult to implement. Lord Desai and then Manju, I'll get you also on it. Quickly, sir.
I think, Labour has been very friendly to business, promising no tax rises, but they'll have to abandon all that. Because the challenge of financing the recovery in the UK economy is a huge problem. They will have to find the money somewhere. And I think whatever Rachel Reeves may say now, she will have to find new taxation to restore those things. So I think Labour will have a difficult time, but it will have 10 years to do the job. Is as big as Attlee had.
On the taxation bit, taxes are, just to tell our viewers, taxes in UK are at a 70-year high. So I don't know how much of tax increase Starmer can really do. Debt is also at a record high. So if you don't increase the taxes, how do you go about paying the debt? and how do you go about fixing some of the broken systems like NHS and others. So as I said, Starmer has some tough decisions to really take. But Manjuji, yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Absolutely. I don't know. I also agree with Mr. Kaushik that maybe, the Tories might come back because this is an anti-Tory vote.
Yes.
And if they sort of energize themselves and learn from this, their experience, they might come back in 5 years. But at the same time, for Keir Starmer, he has to be very practical in his approach. And, the exit from the EU has also given them, they've lost the single market. And so they have to look for additional markets. They have to look for additional sources and supply sources. And there was also talk of moving away from China, from the dependency on China. So all this is happening. And it'll be very difficult for the Labour Party to, or for Keir Starmer to radically change or radically increase the taxes and the current tax structure. Otherwise, he's going to, alienate a lot more people. So it's going to be very difficult finding all the money for all what he wants to do. And already the economy is in doldrums, so he needs to re-energize it and get rid of the inflation.